Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt Vollmer, and today I'm going to chat about how cloud development environments can improve your developers' experience. So, we'll look at how moving your development environments into the cloud can clear up some of the biggest headaches that your teams probably deal with every day. So, whether you're a platform engineer, a developer yourself, or leading engineering teams, the next 10 or 15 minutes will give you a good snapshot of how CDEs can improve your developers' lives. So, let's jump in. First, let's talk about why we're here, and that's developer experience. And it's pretty tough out there if you're a developer. Think about when you onboard a new engineer or start up a new project. It can drag on for days, and sometimes even weeks or longer, just to get all the tools, dependencies, and permissions configured. In fact, a recent survey that we ran said that almost half of companies take more than 2 months to get a new developer fully onboarded. So that might sound extreme, but it shows just how messy things really get. And it doesn't just stop after onboarding. So, how often do you hear, well, it works on my machine? Everyone's environments end up slightly different. And that means inconsistencies, bugs, and delays that your teams face when trying to ship to production. And developers are spending way too much time fixing these environmental issues. Installing software, debugging local environments, waiting for slow builds, and they're doing this instead of actually writing code. And one big company that we work with did a study and found that their devs were actually spending less than 5% of their time coding, which is almost hard to believe, but an unfortunate reality of where we're at today. So these issues aren't just annoying; they really impact productivity. They slow down delivery and can even push developers out the door in extreme cases. So we definitely need a better way to handle development environments. So what exactly is a cloud development environment or a CDE? Basically, it's a development environment that lives in your cloud or on a remote server somewhere rather than on a developer's laptop. Instead of installing every tool and dependency, you can just spin up your workspace somewhere in a data center or on premise, right? So either in a public cloud or somewhere locally on your infrastructure in house. But then you can access it from anywhere, usually through a web browser or a local IDE that connects remotely. And the big idea here is that your code editor, terminal, debugger, everything runs on powerful cloud resources instead of your constrained laptop. Um, you've probably come across tools like GitHub code spaces, maybe Gitpod, or even JetBrains. And they're other popular examples of cloud hosted development environments. Um, there are also self-hosted options like Coder, which let you set up CDEs on your own servers. So at its core, the whole idea of CDEs is to move dev environments off of individual laptops and onto centrally managed infrastructure. And that means they're consistent, they're always accessible, and they're packed with the horsepower that developers need. Essentially, a CDE gives you a fresh, fully configured, ready to code workspace whenever you need it. And there's no more wasting hours or days traversing outdated README files. So, definition is always helpful here. We talk about workspaces, and what we're really talking about there are the centralized development environments. They're ephemeral and they're based on templates. And templates we can think of as basically codified README files, right? They have the tools, the IDEs, the languages, the infrastructure. Some CDEs use YAML or Docker Compose files. At Coder, we use Terraform. So if you can provision it using Terraform, then you can provision it in a Coder workspace. And one of the biggest wins that comes with using CDEs is accelerating onboarding and ensuring development environment consistency. So with cloud development environments, you can provide these pre-configured workspaces that are ready on a developer's first day. All the required tools, libraries, configurations can be baked into those templates. or the image, if you will. And when a new team member joins, or a developer starts on a new project, they can basically click a button to create a workspace from that template, and they can be up and running in minutes. So contrast that with how traditional processes work today, where developers are usually left facing long setup documents. They're installing packages, resolving version mismatches, which might take a whole afternoon or more. And just as important, these cloud workspaces are consistent across the team. So, because the environment is defined as code, for example, using Docker images, or in our case, a coder, Terraform scripts, every developer's workspace starts from the same configuration. There's no more, well, it works on my machine, because your machine is no longer a special snowflake. It's a reproducible environment that we're using. And if something goes wrong in an environment, you can simply blow away the environment. It's ephemeral, and start a fresh one. So rather than spending hours debugging setup issues, we can just throw it away and start fresh within seconds or minutes. And this consistency also really means fewer surprises when code moves to production too. Since the dev environment can be made to very closely mirror production settings. So overall, CDEs let developers really hit the ground running and keep everyone on the same page configuration wise. Most developers and platform teams we talk to are always chasing that super productive flow state, where you have that feeling where you're totally immersed, dialed in, solving real problems, and completely focused on your work. But getting stuck dealing with the tedious stuff like configuring environments, troubleshooting setup issues, or waiting for access, sitting in a ticket queue waiting for access to tools, can really knock you right back out of that zone. And once you're out, it can be tough to get back in. So moving dev environments to the cloud isn't really just about working faster, but there's also a huge benefit to security and compliance. And that's really important to a lot of the enterprises and regulated industries that we work with. Um, think about how things usually go, right? There's lots of sensitive source code and data that ends up scattered on everyone's laptop. You lose one laptop, and suddenly you've got a serious security headache on your hands. So with CDEs, all of your code and critical data stays centralized on secure servers in your cloud, or in your data center. It's not spread across individual devices. And that means you're way less exposed if someone's laptop gets lost or stolen. A financial company I know recently did this. They adopted cloud development environments specifically to get code off of developer laptops, keeping everything safely locked down in their infrastructure. And the devs could still use their favorite IDEs, but the actual source code itself never left their infrastructure. CDEs usually come with solid access controls too. So you can set role based permissions to manage exactly who can access which resources, whether that's tools or repos. And each workspace is isolated in its own container or VM. So basically, everyone gets access to only what they need, nothing more. And that usually makes compliance teams quite happy. Another big advantage is centralizing the patching process. So instead of chasing down each developer to update their local machines every time there's a security vulnerability, your platform team can push out fixes instantly to every workspace. If there's a critical OpenSSL update, right, you can fix it once at the source, and boom, right, everyone's covered. And security teams love this because it means faster, consistent responses to threat. So to summarize, cloud development environments really let you maintain tight security and compliance without making it harder uh, uh, for your developers to actually work. So next, let's jump into scalability and performance. If you've ever been stuck doing something locally, you're pretty much at the mercy of your laptop's limits. If you've ever tried compiling a massive code base or training a machine learning model on a four-core laptop, it usually takes a while if it finishes at all. So you're probably grabbing coffee, scrolling Twitter, just watching your laptop slowly melt down while this happens. The benefit with cloud development environments is that you can totally change how that work happens. So now you get on-demand access to as much computing power as you need. So if you need some extra CPUs or memory to get memory heavy task done, it's no problem. Just spin up a bigger cloud instance for your workspace. You can even tap into GPUs if you're training AI models or crunching through some serious data. So stuff that would typically choke the laptop really runs way faster in the cloud. And when you're finished, you can just scale it back down to save the resources. One of our customers, Discord's engineering team, made this switch. So they're now trading their local MacBooks, which I'm actually recording this on, for cloud-based Linux environments. And they found that their builds were faster and their environments were way more reliable. But scalability isn't just about horsepower. It's also about handling complexity. So most modern apps aren't just one single service anymore. You've got microservices, databases, APIs, a ton of dependencies, all needing to work together. And running that full stack on your laptop can be pretty much impossible in some cases. So cloud environments let you set up complex production-like environments easily. You can spin up multiple containers, or you can hook directly into cloud databases. Basically, your dev environment can look just like your production one, and this means that you have fewer surprises when you deploy. If it works in dev, it'll actually work in production too. And another bonus is that cloud development environments can actually be placed closer to your developers or data centers, which reduces the latency and makes remote teams much happier. And again, Discord did exactly this. So by moving their environments closer to their developers and their engineers, they sped up feedback cycles and improved everyone's dev experience, no matter where they were located geographically. So the bottom line here is that cloud development environments give you flexibility, but also the powerful resources exactly when you need them, helping your developers to stay productive and maintain velocity. So to wrap this up, CDEs can be great for teams of any size, especially enterprise teams, but even small dev shops, right? Or one-off teams, right? Ad hoc teams that just need to collaborate and get a project done. So we definitely see a lot of interest from the larger orgs, especially government agencies and companies working with governments, because they really care about how controlling exactly how and where their data is stored. These teams often have or need completely self-hosted on-prem air-gapped solutions, and that's where cloud development environments like Coder are specifically built for those scenarios. On the other side, you've got fast-moving tech companies that love cloud development environments for different reasons. For them, developer experience is everything. Being able to grab an open source solution like Coder, then customize it and extend it however their devs need is a huge plus. And these teams want to move fast. They need to centralize and standardize their development environments, and that's one of the best ways to stay agile and accelerate their innovation. So I'll wrap this up. If this is interesting to you, if it's compelling, swing by our website. There's a QR code here you can scan. Visit coder.com. We have a lot of really good resources about how enterprises we work with get up and running with cloud development environments, especially if they're migrating from legacy environments that are hosted locally or on a VM somewhere or even in VDI. So the resource I have linked here is a maturity model that kind of shows you that crawl, walk, run process of getting up and running. But thanks for tuning in, and hopefully I see you again soon.